Now to the violence in Philadelphia. The homicide count in the city is up over this time last year. And in 2021, we saw a record-breaking number. So far, the number of homicides in the city has reached 100. Eyewitness News reporter Madeline Wright is in Spring Garden tonight. Madeline?
Good evening, Yuki. Community activists tell me that they are saddened and disappointed. At this rate, the city is on track to surpass last year's record-breaking number of homicides. The city of Philadelphia is marking a grim milestone. There have been 100 homicides so far this year. The latest homicide victim was a 28-year-old man shot multiple times on North 53rd Street last night. Stephen Rogers heard the gunshots right outside his home.
We're in a bad situation at this point, and I don't know exactly what to do.
This same time last year, there were 92 homicides. In 2020, it was 69. In 2019, 61. And in 2018, 53.
A lot of our young people are acting out because they're hurt, because they have been traumatized.
Renee McDonald lost 2 of her nephews in separate shootings over the years. She's a member of Mothers in Charge, a nonprofit that aims to prevent gun violence.
That's one of the most important things that we need to do. Educate our young people about the consequences of the actions once you pull that trigger.
City Council member Kenyatta Johnson says domestic violence is partly driving up the number of homicides.
We've seen a spike in shootings against women in relationships during the pandemic because we knew that while society was shut down, you had more people staying home.
He says the city has spent millions of dollars to provide access to youth employment, after-school programs, affordable housing, and behavioral health to improve residents' quality of life in an effort to reduce violence.
As when you look at areas where we see high crime and gun violence, these are areas of poverty, particularly black and brown neighborhoods.
Kenyatta says that the city is working with the folks here at the Philadelphia Police Department, as well as the jails, the schools, and the courts, to develop a comprehensive strategy and analysis to address the violence.
Philadelphia police are searching for a suspect in a shooting of a man in North Philadelphia. The 25-year-old victim, who was shot in the face and thigh, fell down but then got back up and kept running as more shots were fired at him. This happened April 4th at Old York Road and Ruscombe Street. The victim was treated at Einstein Medical Center and is recovering.
And it has been a violent afternoon in Philadelphia. Several shootings, all within minutes of each other. Chopper 3 over the Overbrook section, where 3 people have been shot on the 4000 block of Wallace Street. 2 men are in critical condition. 1 is stable. All 3 were taken to Penn Presbyterian Hospital by private vehicle. No word on any arrests in this case just yet. And another shooting to tell you about, this one in Strawberry Mansion. 2 people were shot on North 31st Street near Clifford. 1 man was shot 3 times and is in critical condition. The other man was shot 4 times, also critical. Both are at Temple Hospital.
It's been another extremely violent few hours in Philadelphia. Police say a 17-year-old was killed in a double shooting in East Falls. This happened just before 3:30 this afternoon on Berkeley Drive. Investigators say an 18-year-old was also shot and injured, but is being held at the hospital as a prisoner. About 2 hours later, there was another deadly double shooting. This was the scene at Opal Street and Snyder Avenue in Girard Park. Police say 2 men were shot. 1 of them later died at the hospital. No arrests have been made. In Crescentville, police say a man who appeared to be homeless was found dead. This was at Newtown Avenue. Investigators say someone found the man under a blanket. He had been shot in the back of the head.
At 5 tonight, a deadly encounter outside of a barber shop. Philadelphia police are trying to track down a duo who struggled with another armed man before shooting and killing him. It is Thursday night, and the big story in Action News is that terrifying encounter in Hunting Park.
Today, police identified the man who was killed and released new details about what 2 bystanders did right after the crime. Action News reporter Brianna Gallagher now live for us at police headquarters with those details. Brianna.
Good evening, Rick and Shari. Police are searching for multiple suspects this evening after a man was shot and killed in broad daylight in Hunting Park. And police say that this was all caught on camera. Action News obtained surveillance footage of an altercation that turned deadly. Police arrived on the corner of 8th and Luzerne around 6:30 Wednesday night and found a 38-year-old man on the sidewalk suffering from multiple gunshot wounds to the chest. Officials say he was pronounced dead shortly after, but they do believe he was targeted.
All of these shell casings, some are just inches and some are just feet away from where the victim had collapsed. So it's pretty clear that this shooting victim was the intended target.
Because there were a lot of people in the area at the time, police say there are several witnesses and thankfully multiple angles of surveillance footage. Authorities say an altercation broke out just before the shooting.
You can see a physical altercation, a fight between the victim and another male. And that's when you see a third person approach and pull a handgun and fire multiple shots from very close range.
Police say the victim also had a gun. After he was shot, the suspects got away and were last seen traveling west on Luzerne in a dark or black colored Dodge Charger.
A male and female walk up to him while he was laying on the sidewalk. A male picks up the gun, takes it out of his hand, and then hands it to a female. And then you also see this male go through the victim's pockets. So after he's shot, laying on the sidewalk unresponsive, and before the police arrived.
New video showing the moment two men jump out of a car and suddenly open fire on a group of people standing on a street corner. Happened on Berks and Cross Key Streets in North Philadelphia Monday afternoon. One person was transported to the hospital but is expected to be okay. Well, more than 60 bullets rang out at a West Philadelphia playground, sending people scrambling. And today police released video of this terrifying ordeal that happened back on March 21st. Action reporter Walter Perez live in West Philadelphia tonight with the search for the trio who opened fire. Walter.
And Rick, when you see the video of that shooting, it's that much more amazing that nobody was injured. But regardless, investigators are still very eager to speak with the men who unloaded dozens of shots into a small crowd here in West Philadelphia. People who live in this part of West Philadelphia say the scene that unfolded in this park 2 weeks ago is merely a symptom of a larger problem.
They don't have no sense or respect. And that causes a lot of problems.
So I got on the floor and I looked out the window, everybody was gone when I did get up.
Moments later, you can see how the crowd quickly dispersed with people running in every direction. A different surveillance camera captured these images of at least one person involved getting away in this white SUV. People who live nearby say the saddest part is that shootings like these usually start as a simple misunderstanding.
It's troublemaking because people are going against each other. They was once friends and homies, and they shooting at each other because of something somebody might have said or something somebody might have did.
It's getting worse, but my main concern is, we got these little kids out here. It's like nobody don't care.
A surveillance picture shows some of the final moments of a pregnant Montgomery County woman's life. The still shot shows Tamara Cornelius pumping gas into her car when the man police believe was her ex-boyfriend, Rafik Thompson, pointed a gun at her. Today, we learned more about his past and the moments leading up to her murder. This comes as new charges were announced today, nearly a week after she and her unborn baby were killed. The district attorney describes it as a heinous and chilling crime. Kelly Rule joins us live with the latest in this tragic case. Kelly.
Shanna, so tragic. And today documents show that Rafik Thompson was actually on state parole at the time he allegedly killed 31-year-old Tamara Cornelius, who was loved by her family and 3 children. The DA says he should have never had a gun. And documents say his previous conviction only a few years ago in 2018 was for attacking an ex-girlfriend. Family and friends say 31-year-old Tamara Cornelius was loved by everyone. The Montgomery County District Attorney released this picture of the pregnant mother of 3 moments before her life was taken.
It is chilling. It is a heinous killing.
DA Kevin Steele says they charged 38-year-old Rafik Thompson after he turned himself in with the murder of Cornelius and her unborn child. She was 14 weeks pregnant after shooting her to death at the Exxon gas station on North Gulf Road in Upper Merion Township before 10:30 Friday night. The two were in a previous relationship. In the days before the murder, DA Steele says Thompson texted Cornelius 93 times and called her 21 times, which she did not answer. But on April 8th, she did and agreed to meet. meet him at the Cheesecake Factory at the King of Prussia Mall. The DA says Thompson left before the food came, but then followed Cornelius after she left, with his lights off, to the gas station where he killed her. The DA says he threw his gun, which was later turned into police.
He is a person not to possess a firearm because of his history. So somehow he got a gun.
DA Steele says Thompson was on state parole. Documents show he was sentenced in June 2018 for 3 to 6 years for intentionally striking his ex-girlfriend with his car, seriously injuring her 2 years earlier, and she had an active protection from abuse order against him. The PA State Patrol Board says he was granted parole for several reasons, including completion of certain programs, and was released to community supervision in June 2019 after serving the minimum 3 years.
And if we find out who gave him that gun, that's a straw purchase. That's somebody putting a gun into the hands of a criminal, and they have blood on their hands right now.
Police are now asking for the public's help to identify 2 suspects wanted in the murder of a Wissinoming teenager. Eyewitness News reporter Alicia Reed joins us now from Spring Garden with new video and images of these suspects. Alicia.
Good evening, Natasha. Philadelphia police have been following up on leads and now need the public's help in identifying the people responsible for shooting and killing Sean Toomey right outside of his home. This newly released video is a bit grainy, but someone who knows the 2 individuals may recognize their mannerisms or clothing. These images were captured near the 6200 block of Mulberry Street in Wissinoming on the night of Thursday, March 24th.
These individuals have no moral compass. Just randomly shooting, robbing, shooting, killing.
John Toomey is still reeling at the brazen murder of his only son.
Feels like there's an empty hole inside of me. Every minute I think of him. Especially if I see an article of his clothing or something that belonged to him, or football. I'm dealing the best I know how.
While helping his teenage daughter cope, police say the suspects first attempted to break into a neighbor's vehicle who had her child in the car with her. They were unsuccessful and at some point turned to Sean Toomey, who had just walked outside to grab a case of water from the family's car.
After he hadn't come in a while, I went outside and I saw him lying in my neighbor's yard, moaning, groaning, really incoherent.
The 15-year-old was shot twice. Police rushed him to the hospital in their patrol car, and 4 days later, the teen succumbed to his injuries. While police continue to search for Sean's killers, his father is sending a message to the people responsible for killing his son.
You're going to be caught. There's no question about it. You took from me one of the only things I care about in life, and I hope I was worth it.
New details about the suspects wanted in connection to the murder of Hiram Hill. He was a Philadelphia police officer's son. The 23-year-old was shot and killed in North Philadelphia back in January, and the suspects have yet to be found. But today, detectives say one of the 2 gunmen spoke with a Philadelphia police officer moments before Hill was gunned down. Action News reporter Aliana Gomez is live at Philadelphia Police Headquarters with today's new developments. Aliana.
Well, Sarah, homicide detectives just releasing surveillance video and body camera footage nearly 3 months after a Philadelphia police officer's son was shot and killed. And while detectives have good video of a suspect's face in all this, they made a surprising admission that likely hurt their investigation. January 24th, just after 4:30 a.m., 24-year-old Hiram Hill just ended his shift as a bouncer and stopped at Maria's Mini Mart on Allegheny Avenue in North Philadelphia before heading home. Surveillance video shows him standing inside the Mart in front of suspect number 1. Police say that suspect, seen here wearing a blue and white jacket, is 6 foot tall and walks with a distinct limp.
Suspect number 1 abruptly fired through his jacket pocket at Mr. Hill. Mr. Hill turned and attempted to flee westbound on Allegheny Avenue.
In the video, you see Hill run by suspect number 2, who is then seen firing that fatal shot.
Robbery is believed to have been the motive for the shooting. Following the homicide, it was discovered that Mr. Hill's privately owned firearm, an FNB 5.7 millimeter handgun, as well as his iPhone, were apparently taken by the offenders.
During a news conference Tuesday, Philadelphia police released this body camera video showing officers talking with suspect number 2 in an unrelated domestic incident. All this happened just 15 minutes before he allegedly shot and killed Hill.
She keep talking about cuz keep putting her hands on. I'm like, why are you with him?
Get a good look at his face and pay close attention to the sound of his voice.
If she wants to stay, let her stay. But if she got somewhere she can go, I'll drop her off.
Suspect number 1 with the limp was sitting in a stolen silver 2015 Kia Forte while police were talking with suspect number 2. Police admit they did not get the name of suspect number 2 during their encounter with him, and now they need the public's help in identifying these 2 dangerous men. Detectives say these 2 men are known narcotics dealers, known to be in the area of Broad and Erie. Somebody out there knows something about these men.
Surveillance video has been released of a deadly shooting in North Philadelphia early New Year's Day. Police say the suspects went to a car and got out handguns. 1 man was killed. 2 women were also shot. The shooting happened after an argument at a club on Luray Street. Police are searching for 2 suspects and 2 women who were with them, as well as a person of interest. There's a $20,000 reward in this case.
As a mother, I am begging, I am pleading, I am screaming, help Philadelphia, help us. We're fucked. Let's call a spade on their babies. This city is fucked up. It's not right here. All that praying shit ain't gonna do a motherfucking thing. It's time for action. No more protesting. Take over this city. Take it over. This shit is fucked up in here. We scream Black Lives Matter, but to fucking who? We don't even matter to each other. Killing each other with stupid shit. Put them fucking hands up sometimes. Stop taking people's daughters and sons, fathers and mothers away from families. You're not God.